And on that note, we have takeoff. The game has just started. Chocobars starting off with a ready with knight f3. So
Hmm.
this makes me a little bit worried that she's not going for the pawn pushes right away, but this might be part of the theory that she learned.
Yeah, so I mean, she's obviously gonna go knight f3 and g3. This is actually exactly what I showed her. So, this is
If it's part of preparation, then that makes sense.
right. So basically, what I showed her was I showed her basically try to get the king out of the center. I mean, I'll tell you exactly what I showed her after Forsen's next move, which is that when Black puts the two pawns in the center, you push the pawn to d3 to stop Black from going e4 here, and then next move you castle the king. So far, I know that the chalk bar is in preparation. As far as Forsen goes, I don't think he normally plays the setup per se. So I'm actually, I don't think I've ever seen him have to face this opening. So it's going to be interesting to see what Forsen comes up with here in terms of his next couple of moves.
Right. And one thing about the setup that you taught Chocobars is it's less common. Usually people who are starting off play e4 or d4. So do you think that her opponent having less familiarity with that line gives her any advantage?
I think certainly this is a very good start, considering that Forsen is definitely the higher rated player. Getting him out of something that he's comfortable with at the very start of the game certainly should be to her benefit. Obviously, I expect. Well, I don't know. I wonder what Forsen will do here. I feel like he should probably develop the bishop and castle the king. But at the same time, he likes to play gambits. He likes to do stuff that has like a straightforward plan. And I don't see a straightforward plan here for Black really, other than developing castling. So I could see this. I could see this being a relatively slow game here.
And in terms of what you taught Chocobars, it's really fun to see you predict what she's going to do. What was the next plan after she castles her king?
I think the next plan is to play knight c3 and e4. Those are probably the next two moves, or to play. Oh, Forsen plays e4.
You called his style very well. He likes those aggressive
Right.
moves here. Although in this line, Chocobars is going to be able to exchange queens and either make Forsen retreat his knight and lose some time developing, or take with his king and not be able to castle, which usually feels
Hmm.
pretty uncomfortable for.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, he blundered right into. Oh my gosh, he just trades the queens here.
yep,
Oh my gosh, he's gonna be down a pawn at the start. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Knight g5 and knight c3 and white's up a pawn.
yeah. So
No,
okay, so
no,
she.
no, no, no. Sorry, I'm following the meme, but this is off to a very bad start for Forsen. He's still very much in the game because he's only going to be down one pawn, but this is
And she
not.
saw it. She played it so quickly. How long has Chocobars been playing chess for? This is really impressive.
Probably like a week or so. The only problem is I literally showed her this position, so that's why it's not
Oh, you showed her this particular queen trade and an
this
idea to
exact
attack the
position.
knight?
Yes, this exact position.
All
Yes.
right, you're a
Um,
wizard. This is the second time you predicted a game in this event.
Yeah, so I mean, here what you should do is you should take the pawn with the knight. Knight takes and bishop takes, and white's up one pawn, but it's a very balanced position. Still, a lot of pieces on the board, a lot going on. So the game is definitely not over at all, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. So she's going to be up a pawn. She's going to have the white pieces. She's still the lower rated player among the two. And on top of that, she has 2 minutes up. So if you had to give some kind of prediction or odds for this game, given the current situation, what would it be?
I would say it's still probably, as I said at the start of the game, I think it's probably 80-20. I think Forsen probably is about 80% favorite, and I would say Chocobars is maybe 20%. I would say it's still roughly the same, even though she's up one pawn. Although, actually, the fact that there are not queens on the board certainly diminishes the ideas of attacking with your pieces, because generally you want queens and rooks to attack the
Mhm.
opponent's king, and here we're already in an end game. So I think that actually diminishes the odds of a force and like a real attack. I still think the game is very unclear, but without queens, it's gonna be harder for him to find tactics.
Fair enough. And now the next two moves or so are pretty straightforward for both sides. They have some pieces that are not developed, the minor pieces for Forsen, the bishop for Chocobars, as well as getting the rooks into play. Is
Hmm.
this an opening, or I know we're in the end game, but these are opening principles still that you expect them to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, when I try to help out any of these streamers, it's about trying to follow plan, develop the pieces, get the king out of the center. I try to do something that I think they can remember, something that's relatively simple. It's not a hard or difficult plan to see. So yeah, I think so far Chocobars is doing very well. Forsen, I mean, this was always my sort of the one thing I've noticed in Forsen's games that has been a big weakness is that he likes to play very aggressively at the start, but then he's sort of, if he doesn't get the big attack, he kind of loses the steam very quickly in terms of trying to find the right ideas. So that's the one thing I would say that is maybe my one critique of Forsen is that he doesn't really, if he doesn't get the right attack, he doesn't get the steam, the initiative going right at the start of the game, sometimes it's hard for him to find the plans.
That's fair. And what about Choco Bar style from what you've seen so far?
I mean, I think considering she's relatively new to the game, I think it's pretty straightforward what she should be doing here, trying to take this open file where the rook can attack the knight on the d8 square. So, I mean, I think the main thing she needs to remember is develop this bishop. Very important that she doesn't play b3 here. Actually, b3 would be a very bad move because then black can go bishop to d4, and black will be up. Will end up being up a piece. So that's the one thing that I would say she has to be very careful not to do. She has to find another way to develop. Okay, rookie one is reasonable, but yeah,
So,
it's going to be interesting. I think all
right.
three results are very much in the up in the air here. And I wouldn't be shocked if this might actually end up being a draw. I'm going to make a small guess that I think there's like a 10% chance of a draw here.
Well, now she has to be careful about the tactic because Forsen is threatening to remove her knight, and
Hmm.
then and now she just blundered a bishop.
Uh-oh. Oops. Oops. Oops.
Can eat, and now
Yeah, that was an
Right,
unfortunate
right, right. As soon
blunder.
as I'd say 10%, yeah.
Oh man, she was waiting for you to finish the prediction, but hey, I mean, she did
Yeah.
remember your advice from the
she's
opening.
scaring
It's tough to
me.
not blunder pieces when you've been playing for a week like she has.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing also is the reason that she played this pawn push to a3 is because there was a line that I showed her with the knight on f3 and bishop g4 where you play h3. So I think she
Hmm.
automatically saw the pin and she was thinking about the knight on the other side where you go bishop g4.
Yeah. Um, so she mixed up one of the ideas there, and something that players always start improving is just differentiating between plans with positions and small differences with them. And now she's
Hmm.
pushing f3, so maybe she'll activate her king, but what she would really need to do if she wants to have chances is try to develop that bishop as quickly as possible and bring the other rook to the open file here. She is down a piece, so now the chances are even more difficult. Um,
Hmm.
have you seen Forsen
Ooh.
falling victim to some blunders as well? Do you think there's a chance she might trick him?
Ooh, rook c4 is a nasty move. That's a quality move from Forsen playing rook to c4. Yeah, he could fall for it. I mean, I think the best chance is some kind of back rank checkmate, or as Felix would call it, the patented ice skater. I think everyone's heard that term by now. So yeah, I guess we're gonna listen in though.
Yep. So we're going to be seeing what Chocobar has to say.
Okay.
Constantly attacking me like a big bully. And how do I defend this pawn? I guess I just have to go
She's seeing the
here.
direct threats and reacting to them, so that's great.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's a tough position because she's down one bishop for one pawn, and she does have the two pawns that are under attack. But I still think it's bad. It's not beyond the point where
Oh,
Forsen
I
could still
guess I could
blunder because
also
I
go
have
on
seen him
this.
actually blunder queens kind of for free when he's
Okay.
been ahead by like a lot
So
of
if I
material.
go up
So
here,
it's not
he
completely gone,
eats.
but I
Okay,
think at
how
this
many
point
things are
Forsen should
defending
win the
this?
game pretty
One,
convincing.
two, and then
And
I
I can
have
relate with
one,
Forsen on that
two.
one. So definitely can happen to everyone here. She doesn't seem
So if
distraught.
I go up first
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
he
think so
attacks
far,
first, I come
it's
out
it's it's
a
pretty
winner,
good
right?
in
Is that
terms of
how it
position.
works?
Pushing the pawn to e4 is the
So
best
say.
move, but it is kind of a hard move to find if you're new to the game because it's sort of like it weakens the pawns around your king potentially. So it's a tough move to play here.
And
Oh, but
she
she does
found
play it.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
she was calculating it out. So
So yeah, so now I mean, Forsen has to move the bishop. He needs not to make a better not make a blunder here. This it feels like every move kind of unlike professional chess. There is always a decent possibility of either player making a rather serious blunder. So you're always kind of on the edge of your seat. I think in a different way.
So, question for you. If Forsen plays g6 and she pushes f4, which is obviously not a right move because e4 is hanging, but do you think
Mhm.
it's risky that he might fall for f5, or that's a tactic he would see right away?
I think f4 is actually a great bluffing kind of move because if Forsen doesn't see f5 or doesn't see the e pawn hanging and allows f4 f5, he could end up in a lot of trouble. Oh, did she play it?
No, no, I was just
Oh
explaining
no,
it
she
on
didn't.
the
Okay,
board.
okay,
Sorry, I'll stick
okay.
to arrows for now to not be confusing.
But I do think it's a reasonably good like bluff blunder because if Forsen doesn't see it, the game will become very complicated again.
And so when you're down a piece, I mean, at some point you do have to go for some bluff blunders. Otherwise, you're likely just going to lose.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And do you have Forsen stream up as well? Because maybe we
I
can
do.
take in a look and see what he's thinking as
Sure,
well.
of course.
Very good, very good. Waste more time. Yes, my man.
Yeah, see, the other thing I would say is the time really
That's
matters
the
here.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm only laughing because of how
I have to
Forsen was
just
excited
not
there.
lose a piece, and I'm good.
He does have the right plan. He's trying not to lose his piece. But it might get stuck on g3 if she sees something like king g4, king
Definitely
f2, king
not
g3.
here, right?
Yeah, I really
That's
don't
bad.
like bishop h3 here.
But now we can move this tower. She got that.
And we're just listening in on him, trying not to speak over him. I like that she grabbed the open file. I wonder what his response is.
This is very tricky. Also, the other thing that makes this, I think, very tricky is the time situation, because the fact that Forsen is already down 2 minutes on the clock makes this very, very dicey.
Yeah, and he's playing knight g5 now, so you've been right about his style. He goes for very, very aggressive play. I guess there is a chance that at some point he forgets about the back rank checkmate, so it's still tricky because he's going to have to play faster and faster.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I think every move here is critical for both sides. Every single move really matters here.
So what do you think is the trickiest plan for white?
I mean, I think the thing is trying to bring the rook up to guard the pawn and then double the rooks on the d file would be the best move, but it's a tricky move. It's hard to see. But knight g5 is kind of an obvious move because it's clear you're moving the knight towards a weird spot and you want to take the pawn.
So, oh no, let's see what he says after rook f1.
Oh.
Does he see it?
Oh. Ooh. He surely sees it, right?
What? Well, he's taking his time. He is hovering over his rook on c4.
What?
I'm just gonna stream snipe and tell you the situation. Now he's hovering over his d pawn.
I'm watching it too. What? What?
He said he doesn't know what to do.
I don't know.
Dude.
Don't know what to do.
Dude.
Okay, we have his stream pulled up, by the way.
Joke of Twitch.
Oh, this is so intense. I love watching.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on. But he's also using way too much time.
Oh, no. He's about to push g6, Hikaru. Oh, he took it back. He took it back. Oh, now the f pawn.
What is he doing?
I don't know what to do.
Come on. Oh my god.
I do not know.
Come on, dude.
He's getting... Oh, g6 played.
I'm just gonna wait to see what she does.
Well, he's waiting for his opponent here.
I have no idea what to do in that situation.
Yeah, that was totally missing lethal.
And let me check if we're still on him or if we're swapping off. Okay, so he's muted again on the stream, and she just played rook f2. So she saw the threat. That was good. She fixed her mistake. That's very, very important.
Yeah, this is very, very like tricky.
I feel like you're physically in pain seeing that.
I mean, it's not that I'm in pain, but it's like I have very high expectations for Forsen. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do think he is one of the favorites. But this is kind of one of these moments in the game where it feels like he kind of forgot. He had one of those slip-ups. Luckily, it wasn't hanging a rook or a queen, but he had one of these moments where he completely just like his brain stopped working. And so I like f5 though. F5 is a good move to attack the pawn in the center.
Do you think his time situation is going to end up causing him trouble here? 255 versus
It might,
549?
yeah. I mean, I think it really the next couple of moves matter. If Chocobars can avoid blundering like a bishop or a rook in the next like 3 to 4 moves, I think the time factor will play a very big role.
Yeah, and in terms of what she should go for now, I mean, she has a couple options, but what do you think is the most intuitive good move for her?
Intuitive good move. I mean, I assume white will she'll probably take the pawn. Bishop c1 is probably the best move, but it's not very intuitive.
Very hard to see.
It's moving a bishop backwards. The only person I've seen who has actually been good at moving knights and bishops backwards is Nate Hill. He's the only person I've seen who has demonstrated that ability out of the people that I've worked with. So I definitely or I didn't work with them, but that I've seen the games of. So I think I think pawn takes pawn is the move. And by the way, since chat is going insane, I am making a joke. Forsen is one of the best players here, so he's no joke.
Yeah, and that's why you have high hopes for him. I think it's actually quite a compliment to be disappointed when he misses something like that because you think it's in his ability. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he's one of the strongest players. Okay, now she makes a bad move, and I think Forsen has a little bit too much time here. He should see some good moves. Pawn takes pawn or knight takes pawn, and he should win this game pretty cleanly here.
Yeah, and he's hovering over the knight, so it looks like he is going to see that move. But Hikaru, you did say if she doesn't blunder a rook or a bishop, so she's down another pawn, but there's still some hope here.
Yeah, I mean, I think she needs to bring the king to the center of the board specifically. That's the only chance she has. Because I think at this point the material is so simplified that Forsen's going to be able to trade some rooks here, and he will have a good chance. So probably king to e3 is the best move, but it's again not very intuitive. I don't really see intuitive moves here for white. You can't really move the rook down to d8 because there's the rook. You can't move it to d7 because there's the bishop that captures it. I'm going to guess that she's going to play rook d7 here. That's my prediction. I think she's going to play rook d7.
Yeah.
And whether Forsen sees the rook or not, I don't know. But I think rook d7 is probably the most logical move for someone who's new to chess.
She saw king e3, Hikaru.
Yeah, so I mean that certainly improves the situation.
Yes.
It's still quite bad, of course, but I think the thing is with the piece setup, it's still like you can't really attack the king easily except if you retreat the knight. And I don't know, but somehow Forsen retreating the knight doesn't feel very intuitive based on the style that I've seen from him. So so we'll see. But he's got to move quicker too. Like he's getting the time is starting to tick. Now the time is starting to actually be a factor.
But that's why I'm so impressed with king e3 because like her pieces are so awkward here. Her pawns, her rooks, her bishop, there's not a lot of good squares. So for her to understand that she can move her king there when you're used to being worried about your king's safety, I find so impressive.
He's got to be very careful. The time is actually starting to become an issue, I think. If he doesn't move in the next 20 seconds, time is going to play a role in this game. Like this this is oh my god.
Okay, he made a move.
Bishop. Okay.
And it's a good move as well. So
right.
And now it's going to be even more difficult for her because she probably senses that her rooks are in trouble here. But I mean, she can try something like h3, which is somewhat intuitive actually because she played a3, so she might see it.
Right. I think it's a reasonable move, but I think certainly yeah, if she can make a decent move here, this is going to be very interesting to watch as both players get down to the last like minute and a half on the clock.
Oh, and I see her drawing arrows. She does see. Okay, she didn't draw an arrow for the threat that the bishop has, but she did throw some arrows for where the knight moves, and she does have h3 on the board, so she's actually considering it here.
Yeah, this is okay. She has what, 3 minutes? Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
a4 first. Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Now Forsen sees that he can move the knight right away. So now she has to basically try to cheese him on the clock. Like rook d5 is the only good move here. I think Forsen has enough time that he should be.
I think she's going to see rook d5 because she has to move her rooks from this pin. And oh, okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point though, it's not so much about the moves; it's about whether Forsen can play the moves quickly or not. because already the position is so bad that the time is really the only way that I think Chocobars can win this game.
Yeah, that's fair. And she's about to lose
But
another
see, why
pawn here
he's
as
still
well.
thinking though. He's still thinking like, okay. I mean, as long as he keeps it above 1 minute, as long as he keeps his time above 1 minute, I think he will be in no danger of losing. But if the time ever gets below a minute, I think there could be it could be dangerous.
It would be exciting to watch, though. So I will say that, chat. Even if it does happen, we'll be here enjoying the show. So rook takes c3. She might play bishop e2. Of course, the problem with that is rook takes c2 check, and she has to trade off more. So she should try and keep her pieces on for as long as possible to just keep it complicated and try to cheese him on the clock.
Right. So now king e3, of course, very important that she goes up the board here, not back, because if she goes back, I think it's just game over. So you have to bring the king up. Oh, yeah. Now Forsen will win the game, I think, on the spot here. Both knight checks should win the game.
Yeah, and he has enough time to finish off with his attack here. And then he could bring his other rook into the game as well. Okay,
Yeah.
he sees it.
So yeah, so king f1. Now e3 is winning. Probably he'll play knight takes pawn, I'm guessing, but e3 is a very clean way. It creates a nice checkmate on f2.
Yeah, let's see if he goes for that. And now she's starting to get a little bit lower on the clock. Oh no, actually it's his turn here. Sorry.
Right.
He sees
okay,
e3.
He sees
Very
E3.
nice.
Very nice move. Yeah.
And she can try to play something like bishop e1, survive for a little longer, but it's
Yeah,
almost
but
GG.
I mean, the problem is, I think no matter where you move the piece, pawn to e2 next move is also winning, and pawn to e2 is the much more intuitive move for a human, I think.
Yeah. And no stalemate hopes because, you know, she still has enough pieces that it shouldn't happen. He has mate in one. Do you think he's going to see it?
I would say it's 50-50. Okay, he doesn't. He took. But he's still, I mean, it's still there's
Still
no
totally
way
winning.
There's just no way that he doesn't win here, because if he had like 10 seconds or something, I could see it. But the fact that he's got 1 minute plus, unfortunately, I think it's just over.
But you still have the never resign attitude, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't resign just because he's got 1 minute on the clock. But again, it's Forsen. I don't think there's any way he's gonna make a mistake here.
That's fair. And given your expectations for the players, how do you think they performed in the match?
I think pretty good. I would say Forsen got caught in the opening and something he wasn't expecting, so he ended up down one pawn. But otherwise, it's been pretty good.
And he's simplifying, so he's going to trade his new promoted queen for a bishop, and now he has the 2 rooks, and I'm sure he can do a nice mating technique here.
Yeah, I think with a minute on the clock, there's no doubt. Especially with 3 pawns on the board. If White had like 1 pawn, maybe there could be some weird stalemate. But with three pawns, there's just no way that White can avoid losing here.
Right, and if he didn't have pawns, if the king would be on a square where it's not under attack.
Why is he thinking? Why is he? Yeah, like
he wants to make you nervous. He's putting on a show, Hikaru.
Okay, yeah, now he's
like this is a position that would have been stalemate if we didn't have the pawns, because the king has nowhere to go.
Yeah, true.
So it's good to see him put in content. You know, maybe he's going to run his clock all the way down to 5 seconds just for the show.
No, there's no way that these guys would take that risk. That'd be way too dangerous.
I know. I'm just teasing. He is still she's taking her time here.
Yeah, I mean, she just has to push the pawns, but unfortunately it's too much.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So let's take a look and listen to what Janet is thinking about here, since she hasn't moved yet.
I don't understand. I'm lost.
She's trying to move her king.
Click. Am I missing
something? She got it.
Oh, it's not checkmate yet.
Oh, that was fun to see. Okay, yeah, we're still live. We're still listening, chat.
Does he just want to make infinite stuff? It's kind of weird, buddy. Deal with it.
And now I can move the rook over and checkmate.
Yeah, rook to b1 to take away the square and then promote into a queen.
Or a rook.
Or a rook if he wants to go for style points. Absolutely. He probably has auto queen.
Okay, I may have lost really hard, but I made Forsen do a lot of
That's
for
true.
it.
That's true. Okay, I think we can get off of her audio now.
Mm-hmm.
That was honestly a really nice attitude towards it because she knew she was the underdog and she felt good about the fact that she made Forsen really work for the game.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good performance by both players. Forsen's opening wasn't perfect, but in general, most of the stuff he did after that, with the exception of not taking the rook, was good.
Yeah, and I just pulled up the opening you were talking about when he pushed e4. As you mentioned, he should have tried moving his dark square bishop and going for the castle instead. He did fall into that opening trap. And on that note, let's just remind people who's up next because we do have one more game for y'all today. It's going to be Box versus Ludwig. This is going to be a very fun matchup because Box is another one of the tournament favorites, but Ludwig has been putting in a ton of training time. So I'm excited to see how this match is going to go up. On that note, we're going to take a quick break and we will be back with interviews. And we are back. We are joined together by both Forsen and Chocobars. So let's start off. Forsen, congratulations. How did the game difficulty compare to your expectations?
I asked what her rating was ahead of time, and we found out that it was 700. So I wasn't too worried. Although I didn't know the opening she used. I have never really played against that. So I wasn't very comfortable, and I lost a pawn because of it in the start. So I was a pawn down, and I had to play serious, and then I made a comeback.
Wait, you had to play serious after I ate the pawn?
No, I'm kidding. I had to focus up a bit. I had to take a little
Okay.
time and see how to win back the material.
Well, Chocobars, Hikaru was saying that he went over this opening with you, and it was awesome that you had it memorized so well. Were you happy to see it come on the board?
Yes, I was. I was like, everything is going according to plan, and it felt really good. And then after, which I struggle the most with, is the mid game to end game, where I haven't, because like there's so many situations. Anyway, that's where things go kind of downhill for me. But I was happy in the beginning, and I was good on time. I'm usually really bad on time.
You were.
Yeah, actually, I was worried about that. I'm just gonna run out of time.
Yeah, Hikaru, do you want to comment a bit on the time situation because you had some hilarious reactions?
Yeah, I just saw like there was this one moment where you used like 2 minutes where you could have captured the rook on.
And I'm pulling it up on the board.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
You used like 2 minutes in this position. You could have played bishop takes rook.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you used like 2 minutes here and then you didn't take.
I was stressed out. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna eat my rook. And then you did it. And I was like, I'm running. I'm running.
Huh. That makes sense. I could have taken that. All right, that was a missed win, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, it didn't make a difference. But nonetheless, you used so much time there that we really started getting worried that something bad would happen.
I was not worried. I was excited. I wanted to clock you out.
Yeah, I noticed.
I
noticed.
You started going faster towards the end. And it was scary.
And so towards the end, Forsen, it seemed like you were almost getting into some time trouble. Were you just trying to be very careful?
I was as soon as I was up a piece, I wasn't worried about the time that much because you can always get it back after you trade a lot of pieces, and there's like not a lot of things on the board. You can always get the time back by just doing silly moves. So I wasn't too worried about that, but I was worried when I was down a pawn and I had to think of ways to get back my material. So I think it was at 4 minutes or 5 minutes or something, but I wasn't like super worried or anything.
Fair enough. And Hikaru, were there moments where you thought after Chocobars blunder the piece that she could have been able to get counterplay?
Yeah, probably in this middle stage, instead of this rook f1 move, it's possible to stack the rooks on the d file. Just go back like 3 moves.
I wanted to do that, but he
right here you can play rook d3.
Or rook d3 to protect the pawn and double up your rooks.
and then you try to check on the back.
Oh. Okay, yeah. I was really worried because I could see that if he brought his horse down to f3, he would fork my rook and my king. So I was thinking of ways, but I didn't see the d3. Noted.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Hikaru, do you have any tips for the players, maybe when they get into the middle game stage and it becomes a lot more complicated, for how they can improve for future matches?
Well, I thought what Forsen did, was very impressive. I thought this idea of bringing your rook, once you were up the piece, bringing this rook down to e4 and then c4 was a very good idea to stop the bishop from ever becoming active when you moved it over and attacked the two pawns. I thought your play was good. Maybe just the time usage wasn't perfect, but nonetheless, overall, I thought it was a very good game after that hiccup in the opening. So I thought it was very good. And as far as Janet, I mean, it's just try to be a little bit more have an idea of what you need to do in the middle part of the game, and I'll probably help you with that at some point.
Okay.
And Janet, we took a look at your game towards the end there when your king had no space to go, and it seems like you had some funny comments. I'm gonna pull it up. Do you mind relaying those to the chat?
Is it when I'm singing I'm all alone?
Yeah, the king was stuck in a
I
hard
was like,
situation.
and I couldn't. And then I realized he doesn't really have me in checkmate. So I thought there was a glitch in the system, but I could just keep moving my stuff around.
Yeah, report the bug on Chess.com. No, exactly. Well, moving forward, Forsen, is there any opponents that you're most intimidated about?
Uh, honestly, not. They might be better at me than me at chess in general, but I think in a tournament format, I'm the favorite for sure.
All right, a lot of confidence there. And Chocobars, obviously you have been playing chess just as of a few weeks now, so it's still a relatively new game. So what are your hopes for yourself in the tournament?
I think I can take on Nim or Slicker. I think Forsen is definitely our hardest opponent in our group. So the fact that I did okay. I held my ground for a good amount of time, and I did get that pawn in the beginning. So I played Nim in 3 days, so I think I have room to improve and hopefully get at least one game in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were the underdog in this matchup, and Forsen has the confidence. So maybe, Forsen, if you want to mute us so that we don't, boost your confidence even more here. But it will definitely feel a lot easier when you get paired with somebody who also has been playing for a similar time as you. And on that note, Forsen, do you think watching commentary, I know you've been, sticking to the Lindors, has been helpful for your overall chess progression?
I've been sticking to what?
Watching some chess commentary.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing with chess is that it's really hard to appreciate high level chess because you cannot, as an individual, think like 10 moves ahead as the grandmasters do. But you can try and think at least like 3, 4 head or moves ahead when you're watching high level play, because sometimes it's just that amount. It's not always like a lot. So you learn a little bit, but you don't really understand the reasoning unless they're explaining it to you in a stream or whatnot. So I think it's kind of hard watching high level chess. It's better to watch a high level chess player coach someone. I think
Got it.
if you want to learn.
That's actually interesting. So the coaching lessons have been more helpful. Well, yeah, thanks for the feedback. I think that's pretty useful. Before we let you guys go, Hikaru, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, not really. I think it was a great match, and I think both of you guys played quite well. So it was a good show.
Spoken like the coach of both players. Well, Forsen Chocobars, thank you so much for joining us for the interview. Chat, if you guys want to go check out their channels as well, they are above their video cams. Thank you guys. And on that note, let's preview the next match.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
So up next, we have Ludwig versus Box. This is going to be the last match of the day. Hikaru, what chances would you give Ludwig in this match?
So this is probably, out of all the matchups that I saw in the first round, the most dangerous for the top rated seed out of all four groups. I think Ludwig, based on the little bit of training that I did with him, combined with the fact of watching him play games and understanding certain basic checkmating patterns, this will be the most dangerous game for a number 1 seed in one of the 4 groups. So I think Ludwig's chances are quite high, especially since he has the white pieces. I'm going to say that Ludwig's chances are probably somewhere around. I'm going to give him.
You're
I'll
looking
give him
at
a
the
25%.
engine on the top of your ceiling against Hikaru.
Yeah, I'm going to give him like a 25 to 30% chance since he has the white pieces.
All right, and that's pretty high because you were saying something like 2080 for Chocobars, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually my odds on her were a little bit too high. It should have been more like 90-10 instead of 80-20. But certainly when it comes to this matchup, this is one of the ones that I'm most looking forward to. And I'm also really curious to see how Ludwig does because he's been very impressive from the little bit that I've seen.